Wednesday mornings immediately following our 10 a.m. update, we turn our attention to the nation's capital and our friends at the Blacklocks Reporter, the only reporter-owned and operated newsroom covering our nation's capital. Visit blacklocks.ca. You'll find all kinds of interesting stories there, well worth your subscription price. Tom Korski is the managing editor of the Blacklocks Reporter, joins us for these weekly conversations. Tom, good morning.
Morning, Mike.
The deal with China is done. We know that 49,000 Chinese-made electric vehicles will be imported into Canada. And now the feds are drafting an auto policy, Tom?
You said the timing ironic. That's exactly right. According to the Budget Office, $50 billion in actual and committed subsidies have gone out the door to the electric battery sector in Canada, including to some companies that have subsequently declared bankruptcy. I think of, for instance, Northvolt in a suburb of Montreal. It was a Swedish company who was supposed to build batteries, bankrupt. They got a $1.3 billion subsidy commitment. What happened to the money? The Budget Office has been trying to find out ever since September. And there was the famous Chinese EV deal, though Chinese automakers were accused by the Finance Department of predatory trade practices. And now, Cabinet says we're thinking of having an auto policy, to which one Liberal member, Ms. Gould from Burlington, who represents some auto workers in her constituency, I can't wait, she said. I'm excited to see what our auto policy is, she told reporters without irony. So, barn door open, horse is gone, now it's policy time.
Now it's policy time. Yeah, exactly. Okay, along a similar line, Elections Canada survey of candidates from the last election, 49% of whom believe there was some kind of foreign influence on voters?
49% suspected there was dirty money in the campaign, foreign contributions. That's a felony. Almost half of candidates surveyed by Elections Canada said they believe there were illegal foreign campaign contributions in the last election. A serious crime. People have gone to the penitentiary for less. Isn't that an extraordinary finding? The survey, commissioned by the agency, not conservatives, conspiracy theorists, by Elections Canada, found a majority said, oh, sure, there was foreign influence trying to impact how Canadians would cast their ballots. In one case, famously, a conservative candidate, Don Valley North, the Toronto riding, Joe Tay, podcaster, was told by the RCMP to suspend his campaign because of serious threats on Chinese social media. They have a problem, Mike, and they're just not getting on it. And when you have candidates, 49% of anybody, could be minor hockey, saying, yeah, I'm pretty sure there's crimes committed when we play our games. Oh, wow, you want to get on that, and they're just not getting on it.
Something that Prime Minister Carney did get on this week is a little bit of a tax credit to help out lower-income Canadians with their grocery bills. I mean, we're not heading towards some sort of spring or summer election, are we, Tom?
Perish the thought, he told reporters when asked that question over and over. The problem he has is the cabinet earlier in 2025 introduced a bill for instance, an income tax cut that would cost about $6 billion. It hasn't passed Parliament yet. He's having a terrible trouble getting his bills through committees, Mike, where the NDP, which was so often the hinge vote that went with the Liberal caucus, is off committees because they lost party status. It's a big problem. And so the Prime Minister, may want to arrange some sort of election. I personally think there will be an election. I don't think it's going to be his call. You could sense the dysfunction building like a pot of water boiling in this Parliament. But they are not getting bills through. And indeed, when he was asked, hey, is this grocery giveaway? Is this some sort of scheme? Oh, no. No. Scheme? Election? No.
The unrest, Tom, I mean, could it possibly be because there are so many returning MPs from a previous regime now with a new leader who is decidedly less sunny in his ways, if I could put it that way?
Well, it's 11 years in office. I mean, Louis Saint Laurent famously said after he lost the 1957 election, sometimes they just get tired of having you around. And 11 years really does start to wear on electors. Paul Martin found that out. He thought he was a new prime minister, too. And the voters said, no, you guys have been around since 1993. That's a long time. And so you get confronted with all your mistakes and your errors. They're just human. They're not infallible. And all the chickens come home to roost, and it gets tiresome.
Okay, you mentioned committees before, and I want to go back to that because the Liberal Committee hearings into what was touted as a bill on anti-Semitism, those hearings have been suspended, Tom. Why? What's going on?
This was Bill C-9, and it had a couple of interesting clauses, and my 2 cents was a fairly innocuous bill, but it got away from Cabinet. This was to ban public displays of swastikas, and it was to ban obstruction, for instance, of an entry to a synagogue, if an act of intimidation. What happened when it got to committee was some Liberal MPs made unfortunate comments about a provision that was proposed by bloc members to permit hate speech prosecutions when reading Scripture. This was specifically targeted for an incident in Montreal in which a Muslim leader held a Death to the Jews rally on the streets of Montreal under the pretext of reading the Koran. This got away from Cabinet, and all of a sudden the Canadian Civil Liberties Association said, is this a censorship bill? There's been filibustering on that bill. It's going nowhere. There's a huge takeaway. We talked about bills. Mike, so help me. They will not get anything passed unless the Conservatives and bloc members on those committees are willing to get them passed. And I mean every committee, morning, noon, and night. That gets very frustrating if you're a prime minister who wanted a majority.
Interesting times for sure. One more I need to ask you about before I let you go this morning, Tom, because we've touched on it before. And I think many of us will remember the promise because it was so ambitious. 2 billion trees to be planted in this country. How's that going for us?
Not so well. There was a question as to how many trees were planted and what did it really cost. And it is fascinating. Only now we see the figures. Didn't come close to 2 billion trees. This is disappointing for you, I know, Mike. There was only 174 million trees planted. You say, well, that sounds like a lot. No, the forestry companies plant about 600 million a year as a condition of logging on Crown land. What did this dog cost us? $488 million. It's gone. You've never seen that, $488 million again. It's all gone. Sad.
Sad indeed. $500 million just like that. Tom, keep up the great work. Good to chat with you.
Thank you, Mike.
Tom Korski, managing editor at the Blacklocks Reporter. I mean, imagine having $500 million kicking around. 174 million trees does sound impressive until you realize that 600 million are being planted by forestry companies. But that was the pledge, 2 billion trees. And we spend $500 million and don't even get close. The kinds of stories we get from the Blacklocks Reporter. Tom Korski, the managing editor there, joins us every Wednesday morning at this time to bring us up to date on those stories. And you can check the site out for yourself. I strongly recommend it. blacklocks.ca. You'll enjoy what you read there, and it's well worth the price of a subscription.